episode 4. So I wrote down the season and episode, so I'm going to let you know exactly when you guys can go back and verify everything that we say. So, build to the Mad Queen. Season 2, episode 4. Dany speaking to the trader of spices at the gates of Koth. She says, 13. When my dragons are grown, we will take back what was stolen from me and destroy those who have wronged me. We will lay waste to armies and burn cities to the ground. Turn us away, and we will burn you first. Now, if that's not a foreshadow, bro, I don't know what is. And guess what he replies to her? He goes back and says, you are a true Targaryen. So this is something, that's the very first big quote. This is season 2, episode 4. This is way back in the beginning, right? Then, not to be outdone, season 2, episode 6. Dany again speaking to the trader of spices in an attempt to get him to loan her his ships. She says, I am Daenerys Stormborn of the blood of old Valyria, and I will take what is mine. With fire and blood, I will take it. Season 2 again, guys. Season 3, episode 7. Dany meets with the wise master of Yunkai to prevent a battle for the city. Master of Yunkai says, we ask that you make use of these ships. Sail them back to Westeros where you belong, and leave us to conduct our affairs in peace. He tells him, I have a gift for you as well. Your life. And the lives of your wise masters. But I also want something in return. You will release every slave in Yunkai. Every man, woman, and child should be given as much food, clothing, and property as they can carry as payment for their years of servitude. Reject this gift, and I shall show you no mercy. To which he replies, you are mad. No shit.
Foreshadowing at its finest.
Now we jump into season 4, episode 7. So guys, we're still in the beginning half of this entire series, and we've already got 3 huge quotes that have been foreshadowing this big event. Dany, because he was like, yeah, you shouldn't trust a man like this. And so Dany goes, this is her quotes, I could never have faith in a man like Dario. That's why I've sent him and the second sons to retake Yunkai. And Jorah replies, you have. And Dany says back, I have. Jorah then says, without you there to rule Khaleesi, I fear the masters will simply bide their time, wait for the invaders to leave, and reassert control. To which Dany says, that is why I have ordered Dario to execute every master in Yunkai. The masters tear babies from their mother's arms. They mutilate little boys by the thousands. They train little girls in the art of pleasuring old men. They treat men like beasts, as you said yourself. And Jorah says back, well, herding the masters into pens and slaughtering them by the thousands is also treating men like beasts. The slaves you freed, brutality is all they've ever known. If you want them to know something different, you'll have to show it to them. Guys, she literally just said she was going to execute every single master, innocent or guilty, in Yunkai because they defied her as a whole. She just said, well, screw it. They're all dead. And Jorah has to talk her out of it. Season 5, episode 2. After finding the son of the harpy in the wall, they're all congregated, trying to figure out what they're going to do about the situation. The slave, the one that spoke for all the slaves, remember him?
Mm-hmm.
Please, your grace, you must kill him. And Dany replies, it would send a message. Barristan Selmy then says, I think you should exercise restraint, your grace. And Dany, with a dirty look in her face, says, why? And Barristan replies, for one thing, he may have valuable information. We don't know what this man did or didn't do. Give him a trial at least. A fair trial. Show all the citizens of Meereen that you are better than those who would depose you. Teach them a better way. And so then Barristan asks to have a word with her in private, immediately following that. And Dany asks, a word about what? And Barristan says, about your father. About the Mad King. Dany says, "The Mad King? You're here to remind me of my enemy's lies? Consider me reminded." And Barristan says, "Your Grace, I served in his Kingsguard. I was at his side from the first. Your enemies did not lie." Dany says, "Go on." Barristan replies, "When the people rose in revolt against him, your father set their towns and castles aflame. He murdered sons in front of their fathers. He burned men alive with wildfire and laughed as they screamed. And his efforts to stamp out dissent led to the rebellion that killed every Targaryen except 2. And Dany replies, "I'm not my father." Barristan says, "No, your Grace, thank the gods. But the Mad King gave his enemies the justice he thought they deserved, and each time it made him feel powerful and right until the very end." So again, basically warning her of, if you keep going along this path, what can happen to you. I've seen it happen. I watched your father do it. Season 6, Episode 9, like Dany returned to Meereen under attack from Yunkai and asked support, talking to Tyrion. Dany says, "Shall we begin?" And Tyrion, he replies, "Well, do we have a plan?" And Dany tells him, "Well, I will crucify the masters. I will set their fleets aflame, kill every last one of their soldiers, and return their cities to the dirt. That is my plan." And Tyrion goes right back at her and says, "Well, you once told me you knew what your father was. Did you know his plan for King's Landing when the Lannisters' armies were at his gates? Probably not. Well, he told my brother, and Jaime told me. He had caches of wildfire hidden under the Red Keep, the guild halls, the Sept of Baelor, all the major thoroughfares. He would have burned every one of his citizens, the loyal ones and the traitors, every man, woman, and child, and that's why Jaime killed him." Dany says, "This is entirely different." To which Tyrion replies, "You're talking about destroying cities. It's not entirely different." Every time she's had a crazy idea, like returning the city to the dirt, killing all the soldiers, someone's had to talk her out of it. So now it went from Jorah to Selmy to Tyrion. Now we go up here to Season 7, Episode 2. Dany at Dragonstone talking strategy with Tyrion and Varys. Dany says, "If Viserys had 3 dragons and an army at his back, he'd have invaded King's Landing already," as if she's impatient to get on with it. And Tyrion replies back to her, "Conquering Westeros would be easy for you, but you're not here to be Queen of the Ashes." Has to remind her again why you're doing this, right? Now, we get into Season 7, Episode 4. Dany at Dragonstone, learning that they were outsmarted at Casterly Rock when Tyrion made one of his big mistakes, right? Dany tells him, "Enough with the clever plans. I have 3 large dragons. I'm going to fly them to the Red Keep." And Tyrion cuts her off. "We've discussed this." And Dany recuts him off. "My enemies are in the Red Keep. What kind of queen am I if I'm not willing to risk my life to fight them?" And Tyrion sarcastically replies, "A smart one." And so Dany then looks to Jon. Dany asks, "What do you think I should do?" And Jon Snow tells her, "I would never presume to," and then Dany cuts him off. "I'm at war. I'm losing. What do you think I should do?" And Jon tells her, "I never thought that dragons would exist again. No one did. The people who follow you know that you made something impossible happen, and maybe that helps them believe that you can make other impossible things happen. Build a world that's different from the shit one they've always known. But if you use them to melt castles and burn cities, you're not different. You're just more of the same." Now Jon's got to tell her what she should be doing, because she has these crazy impulses all along. Now we get into Season 7, Episode 5. Dany holding her own trial after advising her enemies to bend the knee or die. This is with Dickon and Randyll Tarly, right? Dany burns Randyll Tarly and Dickon Tarly, even though Tyrion was asking her to take the alternative actions. He asked 3 different times for 3 different alternatives, and then she still went about and burned them her own way, which you saw how that created a huge conflict later on with Sam Tarly, right? Then, the quote that I'm focusing on here, under that, is Tyrion talking to Varys after the incident. He tells Varys, "I am her hand, not her head. I can't make her decisions for her." As we start